Nutrition as remedy. For recovery, reconstruction, to maintain health, to find the will to act, and for stable, focused energy without the need for stimulants or sugar stimulation. Find a homeopath who is trained in the Sankaran system, vital sensation method, through rajansankaran.com or by searching online for an able practitioner who can help you find your unique homeopathic remedy. Take the threefold remedy: Sextine Inside trademark transdermal magnesium oil in glass bottles, plus fermented cod liver oil, plus Walkabout brand unrefined emu sipping oil. Working on the body, heart, and brain at the same time. If one needs to heal faster, the threefold remedy can be used by replacing the emu oil with foie gras lobes or canned imports, and the cod liver oil can be replaced with batarga, fermented fish eggs. Quality organ meats once a week. In a compromised food system, the vital organs, and especially the blood, are the least compromised. Do not overcook. Dijon mustard sauce, horseradish sauce, or other homemade sauces can help with the taste. An abundance of liver pills are not the same thing, but they are better than nothing. Or make easy liver pate from this book weekly. If on American soil, see the details of the recipe and how to add cooked blood to make up for the impoverished American soil in this key recipe. See the red, white, active, and passive principles in the body which are laid out in the Vegetarian to Omnivore chapter. Minimum 1 to 2 soy-free fertile farmers or duck eggs per day, any way you like. Or for the best digestibility, you can poach for 3 minutes in a small pot with some white vinegar and water, and then strain on a towel or mesh. I prefer to soft boil eggs, keeping the yolk raw. Then serve in a ramekin with unfiltered olive oil, Frontier brewer's yeast, the non-organic one, and a spoonful of fish eggs without preservatives. You can also beat the eggs with Devon double cream for fluffy French-style omelets. Do not overcook. 2 to 3 soup spoons of yellow butter per day. European slightly fermented butters that are imported are the best. Find a butter with body which folds like taffy or has a standalone flavor profile. My favorites are from Finland, France, Germany, Russia, Latvia, Lithuania, New Zealand, Iceland, or iodine-rich local Jersey or other A2 raw butter. Batarga, fermented fish eggs, 1 to 2 blocks per month minimum. Fermented vitamins, full profile including active selenium. In conjunction with foie gras, the Phoenician culture found the equivalent of Weston Price's vitamin X butter oil and cod liver oil combination he spoke so highly of. One contains the fermented vitamins and the other the X factor. These two items are eaten at most Jewish festivals in Europe today. Great for vitality, especially when taken together. Homemade lacto-fermented sauerkraut and its brine to be consumed daily or as needed. Unsmoked canned cod livers from Iceland found in Russian or European shops. Crab and lobster fat, roe, and tamale liver. These line the shell or can be found in the head or the body. They have much more nutrition than the white meat, which is secondary to most cultures. 1 to 3 teaspoons per day of fish eggs, $1 per day if bought from Russian or European shops. Great source of digestible daily iodine, especially if you live in an iodine-poor region or have thyroid issues. See below to learn how to make orange vitamin butter using fish eggs. Prefer home-fried foods using imported moulard duck fat from Canada, lard, beef tallow, half butter, half olive oil mix, organic peanut oil, palm oil, ghee, some sunflower oil, etc. Interesting fact, fish and chips were traditionally fried in beef tallow, and this tradition began with frying the tails as they were the least desired. Everyone has access to light frying with butter and olive oil mix. You can even make your own breading using a toasted sourdough baguette run through the food processor or blender. Steak tartare, every so often, made from grass-fed bison, elk, deer, New Zealand lamb shanks or steaks, grass-finished beef heart, Australian steak, small farm unsoy-fed meat, and raw soy-free egg yolk and condiments. It is best to finely cut the meats yourself so that the tartare is fresh, not packaged. You may also sear each side rapidly if you eat tartare more often, as many cultures, including those of Europe, would sear the edges of the meat before eating raw. Add some capers, onions, pickles, or a mild spiced sauce. Homemade chicken, beef, lamb, or fish stock. 1 to 3 small bowls per day, added to soup, sauces, etc. This helps with concentration, overall healing, mineral absorption, and improved digestion. Also consider the tradition of 1 roasted chicken per week to increase tryptophan, which helps us sleep better. High tryptophan will only be found in smaller wild-style hens with slender bodies, soy-free hens from small Amish farms, less expensive soy-free stew hens from farms in or out of state, local heritage breed hens, imported hens from specialty shops, wild turkey, or equivalent. You can tell the quality of a chicken by how much gelatin it produces for a soup and how soft or hard the bones are after making a 24-hour broth. The long bone shaft section should not break. A small fresh glass of homemade organic carrot juice plus 2 dollops of whipped creme fraiche for the skin tone, overall color, and the lungs. The cream can be whipped using a CO2 container. Coconut cream without additives or emulsifiers may be used. Just remember that plant-based cream without retinol may steal retinol from the liver, causing nausea or indigestion in some. You may also use Devon double cream, which has been mixed with a beaten egg and maple syrup, then mixed with carrot juice and frozen for creamsicles, which are thyroid neutral. Make orange vitamin butter by smashing salmon eggs into some clotted or whipped Devon cream, unheated honey, gently melted butter, Frontier brewer's yeast, optional, and let reharden in the refrigerator. Homemade lacto-fermented and thick beet juice for the blood, mixed with whipped thyroid-neutral Devon cream, as well as Eastern borscht beetroot broth soup, served cold or hot. 2 serves per day of local raw honey or equivalent unheated, cold-packed, or really raw honeys at the end of the meal. Compact honey will retain enzyme activity longer, on the condition that it's never been heated. A small finger of butter plus unheated honey to replace dessert at meals and facilitate digestion. Raw, whole, 6% fat Jersey milk or even double boiler, slowly pasteurized, high fat, high grass, high iodine milk to make creamy curds and whey, or homemade custard. Prefer milk farms in colder climates to ensure fatty grasses unless the warmer region has other positive attributes such as an iodine-rich vegetation. If milk interferes with your thyroid, no matter how it is prepared, then you must find calcium and fat replacements. Healthy butter is thyroid neutral for most and should be spared. 2 to 3 teaspoons per day of Frontier brewer's yeast, non-organic version. Bro Trunk is a lacto-fermented alcohol-free vinegar drink made from bread. Mix Bro Trunk with naturally sparkling water, which can be found in Russian shops imported from Georgia. These sparkling waters taste salty, and unlike Perrier or other commercial brands, do not tire the kidneys. The word seltzer comes from the word salt. Add raw honey and drink 1 to 2 times per day for vitality or as a pre-digestive tonic. According to your needs, replace some daily water with diluted broth, diluted soups, fermented whey, fermented drinks, vegetables rich in water content, homemade glyphosate-free oat milk water, etc. Consume heirloom vegetables, baby vegetables, rustic salads, and root vegetables. Homemade coconut water kefir. Coconut water without kefir fermentation can trigger insulin spiking in many. I like to blend the young coconut meat with the coconut water, thereby creating a semi-colloidal milk which slows down the sugars in the coconut water and enhances libido. Along with lobster tamale, octopus, oysters, foie gras, fish eggs smashed with Devon home whipped cream, raw soy-free eggs, quality, tribulus, etc. Kombucha. Try to find the brands that have the most herbal or medicinal taste with less sugar. If you are avoiding alcohol, find a more sugary brand of kombucha or make it yourself. Refrain from kombucha if going through an acid state. If you have become sensitive to the radioactive water used in commercial drinks, then just drink glass bottled water with some unheated honey and sometimes ginger in the mouth to remineralize the water. Hot packs using organic castor oil over the liver for detoxification, for the chest, for the flu, or wherever there is pain for 1 to 6 days per month according to your needs. Transdermal magnesium, daily and progressive cure of 6 to 12 months using certified Zechstein Inside magnesium oil in glass bottles. This is part of the threefold remedy mentioned above. Use Herbal Gem brand gemotherapy, a form of European herbal therapy which uses the buds of plants in small dilutions, a remarkably sustainable practice, much more effective than other types of plant and tincture-based therapies due to the rich source of plant hormones found in the buds. Many systemic problems of detoxification, hormone regulation, and drainage from target sites are addressed. Order online. Use an EMF-protected bed canopy, shield any smart meters or install reflective wallpaper, special paint, or EMF protection material between you and these meters. Wear EMF reduction clothing, especially undergarments, year-round, but also while pregnant. Look up your address on antennasearch.com or other similar websites to ensure that no cell towers are within a 0.28-mile radius of you. Buy an EMF tri-field meter. Proper full wall shielding of all walls in the line of fire is a must, or move out. Practice gratitude for your life and the lives of others. Practice humility and forgiveness daily. For fertility and a healthy birth, for men and women. Fertility is addressed 1 year before conception according to the traditions of many indigenous cultures. Find a homeopath who is trained in the Sankaran system, vital sensation method, through rajansankaran.com or by searching online for an able practitioner who can help you find your fundamental, unique homeopathic remedy. Take the threefold remedy: Zechstein Inside brand transdermal magnesium oil in glass, plus fermented cod liver oil, plus walkabout emu oil, working on the body, heart, and brain at the same time. If one needs to heal faster, the threefold remedy can be used by replacing the emu oil with foie gras lobes or canned imports, and the cod liver oil can be replaced with botarga fermented fish eggs. Add to this Norwegian brown cheese called Gjetost, which contains other K2 protein cofactors that are not found within the emu oil. An abundance of soy-free fertile farmer's eggs, duck or goose eggs without restriction unless one is allergic. Any way you like, or for the best digestibility, you can poach for 3 minutes in a small pot with half wine, half white vinegar, half water, then strain on a towel or mesh. I prefer to boil eggs, keeping the yolk raw, then serve in a ramekin with unfiltered olive oil, Frontier's brewer's yeast, and a spoonful of fish eggs. You can also beat the eggs with Devon double cream for fluffy French-style omelets. Another option, learn to make authentic, never-dry Spanish tortilla omelet, or serve runny scrambled eggs in a small ramekin. All of these methods allow for one to retain some of the raw vitamins of the egg. Fermented cod or skate liver oil plus Alpine Activator X butter oil, Royal Ice Gel, from Green Pastures Company, or even better, botarga fish eggs in conjunction with foie gras. The Phoenician culture found the equivalent of Weston Price's Vitamin X butter oil and cod liver oil combination. These two items are eaten at most Jewish festivals in Europe today. Botarga contains the fermented vitamins and active selenium, and the foie gras contains the K2-MK4 X factor, great for fertility, especially when taken together. Raw butter, raw milk, raw aged cheeses like Swiss Gruyere, Norwegian brown cheese called Gjetost, Ski Queen, rich in vitamin K2 cofactors, minerals, and vitamins A, D, E, and K. Raw, whole, 6% fat Jersey milk, or even double boiler, slowly pasteurized, high fat, high grass, high iodine milk to make creamy curds and whey or homemade custard. Prefer milk farms in colder climates to ensure fatty grasses, unless the warmer region has other positive attributes such as iodine-rich vegetation. If milk interferes with your thyroid, no matter how it is prepared, then you must find calcium and fat replacements. Healthy butter is thyroid neutral for most and should be spared. Learn to make water by diluting broth, diluting cucumber soup with toasted nut or oat milks for more calcium and less acidity than a regimen high in fermented beverages. Inexpensive and easy. Mix 20% rolled organic glyphosate-free oats, which can be found online, in a food processor to make flour. Then add 4 large glass bottles of spring water, a teaspoon of Celtic salt, and a hint of maple syrup or honey to suit your taste. Let sit for 12 hours. Then stir, filter, and strain. The pulp can be fermented or frozen for later use, cooked in dishes, or cooked on a flat pan as oat crispies and served with butter. The Scots would pour cooked oatmeal into wooden drawers and let it ferment for weeks. Quality wood harbors diverse bacteria strains. Store liquid in glass jars in the fridge. Kissel, Russia, and Swats, Scotland, recipes ask to ferment this drink, but it has also historically been soaked only for 12 hours in some traditional recipes. Some oats, especially non-organic, but organic as well, may have glyphosate residues. In this case, the oat water will taste off. If you have optimal kidneys and pH balance, then you may not need this recipe. You can instead use imported glass bottled water and drink the water while consuming a large uncoated wooden teaspoon of raw honey. This in-the-mouth mixing helps soothe the kidneys with ready minerals woven into the water, especially in the summer heat. Flattened or broken whole glyphosate-free oat groats soaked overnight in raw milk, quality yogurt, Devon cream, or with a small amount of lemon juice. Then slow cook 2 hours with butter, a scraped vanilla bean pod, whole coconut sugar, or unheated honey on a spoon. This mush can then be stored and sliced for later meals. For muesli, German, Swiss, or Trader Joe's brands have tested well for non-contamination of glyphosate. Soak rolled oats, almond slivers, honey or maple syrup, vanilla, and some fresh or dried fruit for at least 8 hours in yogurt, cream, or raw milk, and then consume cold without cooking. German stone-ground rye breads such as pumpernickel without coloring agents, beet or malt. Most brands add color to hide the fact that they have skipped over the 20-hour traditional slow-cooking browning effect. True pumpernickel will last for months on the shelf due to the high vitamin E content of the freshly ground rye flour and whole grain mixture called kibble. Buy online in packs of 6, 12, or 24. Order only imports from Westphalia, Bavaria, or from organic stores which import these directly. Russian shops may also have some good rye breads. Add some whole grain tahini on this bread in moderation, or learn to make halva. Crushed nut paste is better than liquid nut butters for the intestinal villi. One may also toast with butter and honey, crumble into salads, or use to blend with tabbouleh or eggs. Some may also use to blend with milk or cream to make cereal. You can also learn to make your own bread using heirloom rye kibble and liquid sourdough cooked in a Dutch oven. Seafood, shellfish, oysters, clams, etc. for male vitality and for women too. Fresh cold water oysters are the best, but to save money you can buy fresh East Coast oysters in a jar, rinse and strain them, and place each one in an already used oyster shell with a dab of cocktail sauce for presentation. These shells can be used indefinitely. Jarred oysters, which have been purchased with around 10 days remaining before expiration, are the freshest. Wild-caught fish, sashimi, Alaskan salmon, skipjack, tuna, haddock, whitefish, mackerel, fresh squid, octopus, etc. Fish eggs with only salt as a preservative, from cod, mullet, salmon, trout, whitefish, etc. Make orange vitamin butter by smashing salmon eggs into some clotted or whipped Devon cream, unheated honey, gently melted butter, Frontier brewer's yeast optional, and let reharden in the refrigerator. Salmon eggs from Russian shops cost about $1 per day for a nice teaspoon of daily iodine, active selenium, carotenes, retinol, and vitamin E, among other minerals and B vitamins. Most vegetal or mineral iodine is hard to absorb. Lobster roe and tamale, liver. Never throw out the head. It contains a white substance which is filled with pure vitamin D, the butter of the sea, and a greenish to black tamale which has a slightly metallic cobalamin taste. It is like a pure B12 booster shot. You will feel alive for a few days after eating this, not to mention the long-term effects of vitamin replenishment. The vitamin rush will even work with lightly cooked, frozen lobsters, which are less expensive, but to a lesser degree. Seaweed tartare. This can be made using a combination of gently dried seaweeds such as dulse, One can add capers, pickles, and olive oil to the blended series to make a tapenade or spread. This iodine-rich food is great for vegetarians and vegans and is not necessary for avid seafood lovers. Dulse may also be eaten in very small quantities, less than a teaspoon, every so often depending on each's own needs and intuition. Don't overdo this one. Crab roe and its tamale, crab fat, females only. The white meat is good but of lesser importance. Asian markets sometimes have live blue crabs. Soft-shell crabs can work here too if they are home-fried in butter and olive oil. Batarga dried fish eggs, 1 to 2 blocks per month minimum, hosting an array of fermented vitamins and active selenium. Order online from Europe, Canada, New York, or Miami. Pickled, smoked or salted herring in white wine sauce or sunflower oil. Herring contains a rich source of vitamin D and calcium in the tiny bones. Avoid anything in soy or colza oil. If you can only find this item in vinegar, you may eat this way or strain and add unfiltered olive oil to reduce acidity. Fresh sardines, or those canned with the bones, in virgin olive oil for calcium supplementation can be useful if you cannot find herring. The Scandinavians have used herring and root vegetables like potatoes to survive in times of hardship. This sacred meal has even been shown to decrease their rates of cancer when it was used often. So even though it may seem like all the food in this book is expensive, a simple way can be found for all. Unsmoked canned cod livers from Iceland, available in Russian or European stores. Foie gras without preservatives, plus a bit of unheated honey or fig jam. Order online. Vitamin K2 MK4 Explosion, especially if only half-cooked, pink, from geese, Jewish-French tradition, and imported from better soils. Walkabout emu oil can be a great alternative, although I sense a protein may be missing from the array. Ski Queen brand or other caramelized cheese blocks or Jatoast from Norway can add these protein cofactors to an emu oil K2 supplementation. Jatoast is also a great way to absorb milk minerals without full-on allergens. It is also interesting to note, in Norway, foie gras is banned, just like California. These two markets also consume much of the Jatoast Norwegian brown cheese. Interesting fact. Moulard duck confit with the skin or artisan-cured duck products, yellow, not white, duck or goose fat for cooking potatoes. Steak tartare, every so often, made from grass-fed bison, elk, deer, New Zealand lamb shanks or steaks, grass-finished beef, heart, Australian steak, small farm unsoy-fed meat, and raw soy-free egg yolk and condiments. It is best to finely cut the meat yourself so that the tartare is fresh, not packaged. You may also sear each side rapidly if you eat tartare more often, as many cultures, including those of Europe, would sear the edges of meat before eating raw. Add some capers, onions, pickles, or a mild spiced sauce. Homemade lamb, chicken, beef, or fish head broth, 1 to 3 small bowls per day, or added to soups, sauces, etc. Imported New Zealand lamb parts and feet can be found in Persian, Middle Eastern, or nice grocery stores and works the best for me within the parameters of the USDA prison. Organ meats once a week. The toxicity of vitamin A reported in certain studies is correlated to the synthetic vitamin A samples used. Researchers seem to be wary of doing such studies on natural food sources because they would and have disproven such toxicity theories. This can be in the form of liver pâté to make the liver more palatable. Blood pudding or boudin sausage, morcilla. See recipe on black bread. The association of iron, saturated fat, vitamin A, and D optimizes the absorption of iron. This understanding is often neglected in many cases of anemia, especially since we know that natural vitamin A, retinol, helps the liver process iron. Use blood, which is near neutral when cooked, to replace eggs in dark-colored cakes or bran muffins for kids. The Portuguese mix blood with hot chocolate to get children to eat health food. I use the Easy Liver Pâté recipe weekly. Blood helps us to overcome deficiencies in the American soil. Blood is like human soil, yet with a sweet to neutral taste when cooked. Blood from our old world traditions will come back into vogue, as it will be the only way to overcome the too slow transition to better soil. Consume heirloom vegetables, small young vegetables, rustic salads, and root vegetables. For a bread alternative, not to replace bread, that will give the same amount of energy without the carbohydrate-driven blood spiking effects. Grate, dice, or process some small organic russet potatoes, then fry in an equal parts mixture of butter and olive oil. The best potatoes may come from the farmer's market, where you can be sure by asking that there is no glyphosate, even organic glyphosate, used anywhere in the production pesticide or in the herbicides used in this potato crop. This potato hash can be served with anything. Also note that once the carbohydrates have cooled back to room temperature, their molecular structure changes. This is called resistant starch. From the healthy, home-fried, sugar-slowing effects of fats to the cooled-over resistant starch knowledge, you have a few ways to adapt your sustained carburant energy needs without glycemic spiking. Plain carbs can trigger glycemic overload. Seek out 100% East imported rye pumpernickel spoken of in the chapter on bread, because the tubers should not replace a grain food all the time. They each affect different parts of the body, one being solar and the other grown in the dark. Have your root canals, lead mercury fillings, and other dental problems replaced, removed by cavitation surgery, or investigated by a certified IAOMT IABD dentist 1 year before conception. Ipsilateral bacterial colonies which affect the heart, hips, and joints may underlie many diseases and conditions. These colonies are possible in all cases of dental intervention. One cavity, one root canal, or one pulled wisdom tooth can harbor these incubation points and go undetected for years under the jawline. Use an EMF-protected bed canopy, shield any smart meters, or install reflective wallpaper, special paint, or EMF protection material between you and these meters. Wear EMF reduction clothing, especially undergarments, year-round, but also while pregnant. Look up your address on antennasearch.com or other similar websites to ensure that no cell towers are within a 0.28-mile radius of you. Buy an EMF tri-field meter. Proper full wall shielding of all walls in the line of fire is a must, or move out. Use gemmotherapy from Herbal Gem online for specific needs, including hormone optimization for women using raspberry bud tincture and black currant bud tincture. Black currant in the morning, the other in the evening. Royal jelly can help increase healthy estrogen. Love the man, woman, and child within yourself. For phytonutrients, plant enzymes, and fibers, homemade celery juice with a hint of ginger in small quantities. High-quality spirulina from the Amazon or Ecuador if needed only. Cucumber soup made with cucumber, fennel, mint, creme fraiche, yogurt, and chicken stock. If you need to avoid dairy, coconut cream may also work. Cucumber is the choice food for patients with renal, kidney insufficiency. Slightly fermented white birch sap, fresh royal jelly, and 24-hour broth are also good for the kidneys. Leek puree for elimination. Asparagus will work for this as well. Dandelion or other bitter greens with Dijon mustard vinaigrette for the liver. Rustic salads, escarole, rocket, arugula, endive, chicory, and watercress with homemade honey Dijon dressing. Organic carrots, unpeeled potatoes, celery, and root vegetables, beans, and heirloom cereal grains for a hearty winter soup, slow cooked on low heat. Raw cooked and fermented vegetables, 1/3 of each or as needed. Whole brown psyllium grains taken with water and raw fennel for constipation. Stay wise to other traditional foods and cultures. Some key items found in Asian markets: 100% tamarind blocks, which help thicken stools for some people by increasing digestion and detoxification. Plant-based black gelatin in cans made with Chinese mucilaginous herbs and jelly with tapioca to help digestion. Veal foot for soups or for gelatin blocks, Fis noga aspic, which are eaten with meals to improve digestion. Frozen natto packs, which contain young soybeans which have been fermented with a bacteria strain that produces vegetal K2. These may also be found in specialty organic shops. Durian fruit for tryptophan. Pig and beef blood from the Philippines. Whole fish with the eyes and organs. Live crabs and seafood. Fruit every so often, raw or stewed, using organic apples, peaches, pears, quince, rhubarb, etc. A raw half apple instead of a whole apple. Turmeric, always heated and fried in oil before adding to dishes. Include sulfur-rich foods such as a small daily dose of intense Dijon mustard without xanthan gum, guar gum, sugar, or fillers. Radishes served with butter, onion soup, leek soup, etc. For the proper digestion of sulfur, add a pig's foot, chicken's feet, calf's foot, or any other gelatin-rich food such as oxtail, sheep neck, etc. This technique allows the sulfur to be absorbed in a colloid state, especially when cooked with some imported wine, and facilitates digestion. For nuts, soak overnight in salt water and then sun-dry or dehydrate at the lowest oven temperature as did the Native Americans. This removes the deadly mycotoxins. Almonds are rich in calcium, and Marcona almonds are the best. Pecans are rich in manganese. You may also make a butter mixture using raw honey and smashed pecans as a snack or toast them in maple and butter. You may also learn to make halva. Avoid conventional peanuts as they are part of the crop rotation cycle of the cotton plant and thus follow a commodity for which great quantities of herbicides and pesticides have been used. Nut butters in general are to be avoided as they upset the homeostasis of the villi in the intestines. As mentioned before, artisan or homemade honey-based halva and brown tahini paste have the right consistency. To replace coffee, organ meats or liver pate once a week. Increase daily intake of raw or high-quality yellow butter. Watch out for triangles of dependence: coffee, cigarettes, sugar, chocolate, tea. Taking any one of these stimulates insulin spiking and brings up a craving for the others. You can start by progressively substituting coffee with chicory grains, then taking only chicory alongside a cure of fresh royal jelly. After, switch to herbal tea and 2 soup spoons of virgin coconut oil plus 15 drops of ginkgo gem, ginkgo biloba, gemotherapy from Herbal Gem. Personally, I take a hot cup of homemade broth every morning to feed the soul and replace stimulants. I prefer to make broth myself than to buy it, especially if it is made with contaminated water and sold in plastic containers. For sugar cravings, the emotional aspect of sugar dependence may be helped by writing 1 page a day and doing some grief work, mourning, on the lack of love or affection in childhood. If needed, a 12-step program may be required. As far as nutrition is concerned, it is essential to understand that behind the curtain, we have only 2 choices here. Either we increase fat intake or we increase sugar intake, carbs. Once we perceive this mechanism clearly, we can better adjust our dietary habits. My experiences on myself and other men and women have led me to believe that certain things make us gain weight, but good butter, raw if you can find it, isn't one of them, unless we need to gain weight or if we are overeating and sitting around all day. Even at 3 soup spoons a day, 75 grams, it is safe and corresponds to a traditional daily intake of butter. Butter was found in more staple foods in earlier times. I leave it up to you to find how you will overcome these myths about fats and butter. It goes against the whole paradigm. Break on through to the other side. In an upside-down world, the so-called absurd needs to be reinvestigated. In the brave new world, the reverse is true. Gymnema sylvestris capsules can help with the cravings at the beginning. Everything which is close to the sugar taste, yet is not sugar, is helpful for the assimilation and regulation of sugar in the body. Examples: cinnamon, vanilla, coconut, natural green stevia, etc. But the understanding of fats per meal is the key at the physical level. In a healthy society, we would only use traditional sweeteners to bring up acidity or a lack of inherent sugar to a neutral level, not to sweeten beyond that. Lightly fermented creme fraiche, for example, needs some sweetening as it may be overly acidic. Whipping the cream can also sweeten the cream by using only air. The healthiest ice cream is just on the edge of sweetness, as were the flans and custards of Roman times. To be fair, they often cooked with figs, prunes, and dried raisins. And the monks had a pot of honey rich in enzymes on the dinner table and ate it with everything. For children, high-quality cultured cream to make ice cream or to be whipped if raw may be used abundantly to help them overcome sugar addictions by replacing their normal supply with slower milk sugars. Coconut macaroons made with simple ingredients can be found if you are in a pinch. Desserts without fats like candies are even more dangerous and should be avoided like the plague. If a neighbor or friend offers you candies, You can share your aversion with her if she is open to it. If she is not open to it, then accept the candy with a smile and then toss it in the first trash bin you see along the way. Sugar is the one thing you can waste or toss without worry. For Halloween, do the biggest cookie bake-off of the year and leave all the cookies sitting there waiting that the children have made for when they get back home from their trick-or-treating. This will outshine the typical practice of just eating rotten candy. It doesn't mean that you must keep all of the candy away from them, but there is a way to balance things out. However, it is better to let go sometimes and enjoy a high-quality ice cream or traditional dessert than to live in frustration or to become an overly astringent personality. Balance is the key. Try to love yourself and your body as you are now, and when there is progress, give yourself a high five in the mirror. For exercise, hobbies, and sports, do what is pleasing, playful, and fun for you. Explore the inner and outer, the active and passive activities and combinations. For couples to stay fit, a healthy sexual life full of love for self and the other. On a side note, for greater intimacy, buy an electronic ovulation monitor, clear blue for example, with urine test sticks which reveal the many days of the month that are safe to be fully intimate. A curiously unknown yet radically better form of birth control exists without being controlled by synthetic contraceptives. Take a 20 to 45-minute walk before or after the evening meal. Choose to walk on grass over concrete when possible. Take a swim in the ocean, or go to the gym or YMCA and try a high-intensity swimming program, such as staying afloat for 15 to 25 minutes by your own efforts in the deep end, or by swimming slow, unorthodox laps while trying to increase your level of exertion with as graceful of movements as possible for a high-intensity underwater workout. Don't hurt yourself. Followed by a long dry sauna to push out through transpiration any fractions of absorbed chlorine from the body. Try to do short sessions of high-intensity swimming to lessen the effects of airborne chloramine. The majority of chlorine comes into the lungs as chloramine. That is why most of the better pools have, in order to attract members, a network of vents to extract this chemical-smelling air as much as possible. Use goggles and earplugs while swimming. Depending on sensitivity to radon 228, one may need to avoid pools and baths altogether. Finish with an ice-cold shower. Take cold showers. Cold water contributes to your health and only takes a few weeks of getting used to it before it becomes easy. You can start with warm water and finish with cold to begin, but after you get used to it, try to go straight cold and then work up to straight cold while deep breathing. They are currently studying the effects of cold water therapies on the regeneration of beta-2 receptor fat cells. The beta-2 fat cells, unlike the stubborn alpha-2 receptors which make up the majority of fat cells, increase our ability to burn fat. If you use saunas, then always alternate with ice-cold showers unless you have heart conditions, are heavily medicated, or unless you have a serious thermoregulation problem and a very skinny frame. Build up progressively. Walk to work, or ride your bike, or better yet, walk your bike. We have become hypnotized and have forgotten that most cities and trajectories can be traveled by bike or even by foot. It only takes a change in habit and consciousness. I lived in Paris, which is only 4 miles in diameter, 30 minutes of biking per day, 1 hour of walking, and no more waiting for trains. One can also drive part of the way or get off a few stops before the destination and walk. I go for night walks often. It also has helped me become resistant to the cold. It tones the body. However, now I use my bike less as it can trigger the stress hormone cortisol if used often, intensely, or in a stressful environment. I use my bike to go downhill, but then I walk it uphill. Fast walking is excellent for testosterone production. Be careful not to replace walking with bike riding. Walking is the most essential of all exercises and should have a place in everyday life. I love my car, but I also love how optional it is in my daily routine. It is one of many tools, but do not let it replace walking. It is good for the body to have a certain amount of impact on the bones. If you prefer a treadmill, then you can use the armrest as a support to lessen the full impact on the knees. No impact at all may not be intelligent, as the body needs these micro challenges to find strength and stamina. I like to do a daily walking meditation. It's like the best of both worlds. I don't see this as life hacking, which I do not recommend, as this truly helps one to deepen one's daily routine, not to fill it up with busyness. Balance is the key. If you have knee problems, buy yourself a pair of Ultra Boost shoes. I personally had a serious knee problem, and by wearing these shoes over a 1-year period, my knee healed. Don't accept imitations or other brands. Our knees rotate when we walk. This rotative energy needs to leave the body and will exit by way of the heel. But if we have grippy shoes, often this exodus of the energy does not happen. The knee retains this energy and the pain gets worse with effort. Why do traditional high-quality shoemakers always leave leather soles on the bottom of the shoe? This ancient practice allows for the supination of the heel and allows the knee rotation energy to be released through the heel. The extra big-soled Ultra Boosts have the same effect because the sole is like a mattress. Now I only buy leather-soled shoes. No more grippy soles. Problem solved. Traditionally, we did not have miles of concrete and steel under our feet. Earth in the soil was closer to the surface, creating some shock absorption. People did not have elaborate shoes, and bare feet were commonplace. The cork tree, which is harvested every 9 years for its soft bark, which in no way harms the tree, provided an abundant source of cushioning for the ancient world. The main reason Birkenstocks became so popular, in my opinion, is the simple intelligence the brand had to follow tradition in the fabrication of their sandals by using cork for cushion. Many high-end shoes from Europe still employ cork layers in their sole compositions. For cushioning mountain-type shoes, softer resin-based materials were used instead of petrochemicals. Cartilage-specific knee problems will also be helped by proper soft-soled footwear as mentioned above. 97% latex soles using heavy tree sap may also be in our future. These soles were used in Brazil in modified form by the indigenous tribes. Heavy latex has a natural active bounce which petroleum cannot mimic successfully. Stay tuned. Since this discovery, I only buy quality leather-soled shoes which can be resold, which give a longer lasting investment. Explore self-confidence through diverse activities such as sports, dance, tango, zouk, salsa, drawing, meditation, the arts, knitting, spatial dynamics, yoga, tai chi, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, grappling, the gym, improv, exploration of nature, and even fishing. There are many ways to increase strength, stamina, sensuality, grace, and our capacity for being. Grace and strength combined create the best bodily forms, active, passive, masculine, feminine, and soft, hard principles and exercises. Many martial arts teach how to be quick and yet graceful, soft and hard, or hard at any given moment. Have you ever noticed a dancer's presence, posture, and grace? Over a couple years of learning to dance, my posture improved drastically as well as the shape of my shoulders. I have seen an older woman with no rhythm and 2 left feet at one of the more urban dance classes become seductively attractive in a matter of 2 years. Her body, facial expressions, and overall allure was greatly improved. No other activity could have created such change. Persistence pays off. These activities combine concentration, presence, pleasure, and letting go. In our high-speed society of human doing, the art of human being is lost. As Shakespeare has stated, to be or not to be, that is the question. For the typical American diet, one will need much activity, sweat, and grit to overcome the onslaught of toxins in the environment. On the other hand, those who create original foodways for themselves upon reading this book, such as seeking soy-free foods found online from small farms to pick one example, may not need to become a workout addict just to keep the head above water. The challenge is that you may have to change a lot of quote-unquote normal habits to get clean. For the rest, explore your own traditions and stay open to those of the rest of the world to find the golden mean. The past only contains half of the riddle. The other half is within the modern spirit. The integration of the two leads to deeper and more profound solutions.